Hello, welcome you to 589's Music Land, a channel here where I talk about music topics in general. If you're new here to the channel and you've been welcoming the vibes and you've been liking the previous episodes, please hit share and like and subscribe. Now, today we're going to be talking about 2026 is the worst mainstream year, especially here in this decade. Like, some people will make an argument here that is 2025, but which I can see, but 2026 year is definitely up there or next to it. Like, for example, there has been so many albums that in my opinion has previously flopped, and in my earlier episodes, on episode 3, where I talked about why 2026 must be a great year in music, I went on previous targets about what it needs to accomplish for 2026 to be a great year for mainstream music. Like, for example, there needs to be a new Jay-Z album, a Jhené Aiko album. More artists needs to do a few features to no features, or the quality of the production or sound and other factors needs to be more risky and in an executed way, and which is partly there, but it's not done in the most executed quality way. Like, for example, look at the albums so far. Like, the Bruno Mars album flopped, Kanye album flopped, the Chris Brown album flopped, Fake Mick flopped. J. Cole, even though I've enjoyed that album, but there's a good portion of certain people as well, they didn't enjoy that album because of certain factors. Like, there's I can understand the sentiment, but that's why I put that there, objectively, for a reason. And I could go on here as to what makes each of those albums, in my opinion, what flopped. First example is the Bruno Mars's The Romantic album. Now, for me, the Romantic album from Bruno Mars is one of the more disappointing albums that I've listened to this year. It's because that when I first went into the album, listening on my first ears, I thought that the album was going to be completely different from the rest of these albums, because this is Bruno Mars's first album in like 10 years. So I thought that he was gonna create a new or do a different sound, like a 90s R&B album, or a 2000s or a R&B album, etc. But no, he still continued to do this, to do the 60s and 70s style of R&B, which is nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, you've been doing it since 24K Magic, or even like throughout your entire career. And one of the main criticisms of Bruno Mars that he tends to get online is the fact that he doesn't change up with the production and the sonics of his albums. He just uses the same style of music. Plus as well, that the romantic lyricism was a bit weak as well. And also certain songs on and off of the album, I didn't necessarily like as much compared to the other past albums, song choice wise. So to me, I just feel like that album is just weak off of Bruno. Second example of a flopped album is Fake Mick's Terrified. Now, this album by Fake Mick, I was actually anticipated for this album, by Fake Mick. I thought that this album was going to deliver just like a London Savior, because when I first heard about Fake Mick, like 2 years ago, like I've listened, or last year I listened like, to Fake Mix London Savior, and I thought that album was extremely amazing with his unique, moody jerk sound and stuff like that. So when I went onto this album, I thought that his sonic range was going to be able to improve off of that album, but nope. It turns out that it was extremely a disappointing album. The production of the Rage Jerk beats was all over the place. The lyrics was kind of like horrible, or his technical lyricism was mainly horrible, that too as well. There was no features, or hardly any features, if I can remember, whatever, that made the album memorable. And also, that album was a little bit too long. I think the album was about 19 tracks, 20 tracks. Yeah, so that's a little too long here for a very disappointing album. I just felt disappointed, man, to the point where I was this close of even thinking of quitting on him, but I won't quit on him like that just yet. But yeah, man, that album was just disappointing. Next example that we have here is Kanye's Bully. Now, I've listened to Kanye's Bully, and for me, it's still Kanye out of his prime once again. And although that the Bully album is a much more of a better attempt than the previous bodies of work, with compared to the Vultures and stuff, it still wasn't like the old Kanye that we was used to back in over 15, nearly 20 years ago. The production wasn't great enough. The sequencing and the cohesion of the album was a little bit inconsistent. The rapping quality of Kanye was at times really, really bad. And also, although the features, I feel like the only thing that was good about the Kanye's Bully album was only the features. I think the features did great in their own way, but other than that, the rest of the quality of Kanye's Bully album was a little bit was kind of terrible. And just once again, I just feel like Kanye, he's just out of his prime once again. Next album that I'm going to critique here is The Fall Off. Now, The Fall Off for me, I actually enjoyed The Fall Off. I think that The Fall Off for me is actually J. Cole's second best album, or joint second best album alongside with Born Sinner, depending on where you want to place it. But the reason why I place The Fall Off as one of among the worst commercial albums is because although that it has done great critically in a decent way and within the J. Cole fan base, there are others that have listened to it and have also said that the album is a little bit boring in terms of its subject matter, and also the album is a little too long, and also the album should have had more features. I think the only features that it only had was only Thames and only Future were its only features. That's it. He didn't add Jid or another extra singer to make the album more listenable or more intriguing within the concept, and that's why that the album to certain people was a little bit extremely boring. But other than that, I thought that the album was actually great in my perspective. I just wanted to add it in because And lastly, but no means least, the Brown album by Chris Brown. Now, this album for me personally, it has disappointed me the most, because when this album got announced, everybody was thinking of waiting for the CB album, for them to deliver a short, concise album. When the album came out, or when we found out, many people said they were going to create another 27 track, the album was definitely going to flop onwards. For starters, why make it 27, especially with the R&B iconic Pose? that represents a lot of things about R&B, and you flop it. On top of that, the features. Why are you adding Sexy Red Gorilla, and NBA Youngboy and Vybz Kartel as features on an R&B album? That is terrible. And plus as well, that what's good about the album was only like the second half year of the album was more mature and more great. If he didn't add the entire first horrible album and he only just left it only the second album, it would have been great, man. But because he decided that wanted to add more songs like he always does, that's why it flopped. And then you wonder why they don't call CB an album artist, because he always tends to do things like that. It is what it is anyways. And also my point of views as to why that these albums are examples for this year, as to why 2026 musically this year has been horrible. One of the major reasons as to why I haven't created any music videos for my music channel is because of situations like that. This year of music has kind of put me off here of not listening to a lot of new music, especially over the mainstream. So man, so that's it for the video, man. That's my frustration on why that 2026 year is the worst mainstream year for music. And this is 589's Musicland. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and hope you guys have a nice day.